live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. I am so very happy to see you. Our second live chat of the new year. I hope everyone's 2017 is off to a really, really wonderful start. Let me take a look in here at y'all's comments and questions that I see are already coming in, which is very, very exciting. For those who don't know me, my name is Corrina Rachel, and I am a certified holistic health coach. I'm getting a little situated here. Alrighty, so certified holistic health coach. I've made perhaps hundreds, definitely over 200 videos on our YouTube channel, Psychetruth, which you are on right now if you are in the chat, on weight loss, fitness, nutrition, healthy eating, healthy snacks, healthy breakfast foods. We also have an ASMR channel, so questions about stress, sleep, and ASMR are also fair game here. Basically anything under that big umbrella of wellness, helping you to feel good, have the energy you want, reach your health goals, whatever they may be. That is our guideline here, and that's a pretty wide guideline. So basically this is your opportunity to ask me questions. So it looks like there are probably already some questions coming in here. Let me take a look. All right, so as Lorna Doone has just done, you can use her as an example. If you put some question marks at the beginning of your question, it will make it easier for me to see amongst all the chat. I will just say it's virtually impossible for me to answer every single question in the chat room, but I do this every single week at 2 p.m. So if I don't get to your question today, I will, you'll have another chance to answer it next week. I'm going to go ahead and start with the very first question that was left here. This is from Carmen Therese. She says, hello, I love your work. She says, what are the best foods and supplements to take and any specifically to avoid to fix the symptoms of estrogen dominance? Multiple doctors have tried, but have not helped. Okay, so this is a really good question, and Carmen, thank you so much for asking it. I hope that you are still in the chat here. So a couple things I want to address here. First of all, she says she wants to fix the symptoms of estrogen dominance. But what I would say is that fixing the symptoms is not really your goal. What you want to do is resolve the estrogen dominance in the first place. And ideally, the best way to do that is to really get down to the bottom of what caused that problem initially. So whatever your health issue is, and there's a lot of them, right? There's a lot of different things that people are suffering from nowadays. So whether you are suffering from estrogen dominance or really any, diagnosis you may have received from your doctor, or just those unpleasant symptoms, right, that we may experience that just kind of impede our daily lives and whatever, right? We don't want to deal with them. This answer is kind of for you. This is not specific to estrogen dominance. I really encourage you to work with a doctor one-on-one to find the solution to your problem. Now, the type of doctor I recommend is very specific, and that would be a doctor of functional medicine. And if you put in functional medicine doctor and your zip code, you'll get a listing of people. There may be some in your city, depending on where you live. But if there's not, you can also work with a functional medicine doctor even remotely, because pretty much the bulk of what they're doing is looking at your lab results. They're actually going to take your personal lab results and use that to determine your line of treatment. So rather than, so this is what happens in mainstream medicine. Mainstream medicine, somebody walks in, they present these certain symptoms, and the doctor says, oh yeah, well, we give this for that symptom, and this for that symptom, and this for that symptom. And it's a very generalized thing, right? So the difference, and really what I feel is what makes a functional medicine doctor, okay, so far superior, is that they will have you come in, you'll present their symptoms, and then they'll say, okay, well, we want to see your blood work. We want to see all of your, previous health histories and stuff like that, right? And they're going to actually use that information, not just based on your symptoms, to determine how they're going to treat it or what they're going to do. And the reason this is so important is that your body doesn't just randomly dysfunction for no apparent reason. Okay, when you are experiencing unpleasant symptoms, when you are given a diagnosis or health condition, or something like that, understand that that didn't just happen out of nowhere. So the idea that we would just throw certain supplements or throw certain things at the problem and hope that it works is really ill-advised, and it's a waste of money. And it often doesn't actually help you. So the key here is that they're looking at your age, your lifestyle, your body, your blood work. They're looking to see what are your nutritional deficiencies, how are your adrenals, how are your hormones. So for something like estrogen dominance, this is clearly a hormone balance issue. But in order to answer your question, I would need to know way more information. How old are you? Because somebody who's 15 with estrogen dominance and somebody who's 30 or somebody who's 50 with estrogen dominance, these are all completely different situations, and they would be handled in different ways. So work with a doctor, find someone that, if you can't find a functional medicine doctor where you live, reach out to people that are nearby. We also have a couple of people on the channel that I know offer that type of service. Bottom line here is stop trying random supplements and random things to try and see what works. Get to the bottom of the problem, figure out the initial cause of the problem in the first place, and then you're going to be able to actually resolve it once and for all. And once you resolve that problem, the symptoms will go away as well. So thank you so much for your question, Carmen. I know that was not a very direct answer for you. I will, if I have time later, get into hormone balancing. If you look up endocrine disruptors, there's a whole lot of them. Soy is a big one. Plastics, or specifically the chemical bisphenol A, is a big one. So if you are drinking a lot of soy milk, you eat a lot of tofu, sometimes people can actually ingest so much soy that it ends up disrupting the endocrine system or disrupting your hormone balance. Same thing with bisphenol A. Every once in a while, drinking out of a plastic water bottle is not going to be a big deal, but if you're one of these people that only drinks out of plastic water bottles, which is more and more people these days, right? They're just drinking bottled water all the time. You're getting a lot of this bisphenol A, not to mention all of the other weird plastic chemicals that they haven't even investigated yet, and that is another known endocrine disruptor. So if you put in endocrine disruptor, you can get a big long list and you can kind of look at that and maybe see if there's any of those things that might be pertinent for you. Or minimally start avoiding those endocrine disruptors, and you should find that that helps. Working with a doctor would be the next step. Giannina Aliba. What should I eliminate that is unhealthy from my diet? Well, I have no idea because I don't know what your diet is. I don't know what you eat. If you are looking for a general list of things you should not eat, keep your eyes peeled for the video I am posting this Friday. I'm posting a video this Friday called 7 Foods to Never Eat. Seven foods to never eat. The things that I really consider to be some of the absolute worst, most harmful things. To give you a general answer, basically your processed foods. Now, it's not that all processed foods are inherently evil, but most of the processed foods, okay, so these are the things that are typically in boxes. Sometimes they'll be like in a plastic bag that's inside of a box, right? But these are processed foods, and they'll typically have a long ingredient list. That's another good sign. Typically, they're found on the inside aisles of the grocery store. They're things that have a long shelf life. They're typically not going to be your fresh natural foods. So what I would encourage you to eat are things out of the outside edges of the grocery store, you could say. So the produce department, that's really where the bulk of your calories should come from, honestly, is from vegetables. Whether it's salad, whether it's things like steamed green beans, steamed broccoli, corn on the cob, vegetables should really be the bulk of your diet. The deli section, right, is also usually on the outside of the grocery store. That would be another area where you know that you're getting the highest quality and freshest meats. Anything that's on the inside or, in those processed food with long ingredient labels, you're not getting high quality nutrients from those foods, and those are also what are giving you empty calories. Those are the calories that don't give you the fiber and nutrition that your body needs, right? So when you're hungry, that's what your body is asking for, nutrients and fiber. All right, so you don't get those things. Those are the calories that just make you gain weight. So those processed foods like white bread, pasta, and again, any of those things with a really long ingredient list are things to avoid. If you want to hear a more fleshed out list, please visit the channel, because I've done tons of videos called Top 10 Obesity Causing Foods. I literally have a video called What Not to Eat. And then there's a partner video that's called What to Eat, Basic Nutrition for Health and Wellness. So those would be great reference guides, Giannina, to answer your question. Okay, Kaya Koti, acne which isn't responding to normal dermatologist treatment and also not responding to diet without sugar, gluten, and dairy. Okay, Kaya. So she's taken the first bit of advice, which I would give, which is to start eliminating things from your diet. So gluten and dairy are big ones that typically people may have a response to. Sugar is another thing that's very, very pro-inflammatory. Okay, it means that it invokes the inflammation response, which is part of our immune response. So high consumption of sugar is usually tied to things like acne, which is also an inflammatory condition. Okay, but if that hasn't helped and the normal dermatologist treatment hasn't helped, a couple of other things to consider. Number one is that while you've already started to change your diet, to remove things from your diet, it's important to consider that we can have food allergies, or we can have food sensitivities to virtually anything. So, of course, the big ones are things like gluten, soy, and dairy. Those are kind of the big boys that have the largest numbers of people that are sensitive to them. But you could really be allergic to just about anything. Some people are allergic to nuts. Some people are allergic to shellfish. And the thing about something like acne is that it's kind of it's a more mild symptom. So compared to somebody who's allergic to peanuts and eating a peanut sends them into anaphylactic shock and they go into a coma, right? That would be a much more severe allergy. But if you had a mild sensitivity or mild allergy to something like peanuts, then maybe it would manifest with a less severe symptom, like acne, as an example. So with a statement like that, right, it kind of leaves it very open-ended and kind of overwhelming. I totally understand that, right? Because it's like, wow, how would I figure out what it was that's triggering it? My best recommendation to try to figure out what it might be that you're allergic to is to keep a food diary or a food journal. And this is basically, it doesn't have to be super formal, but just kind of keeping a list of the things that you're eating throughout the day. And then also keeping a little section where you're noting, am I having breakouts? Is my skin clearing up for a minute? And then all of a sudden this happens and I have a breakout or something like that. So keeping a food journal or food diary can be helpful. Another thing that it could be is what you're using topically on your skin, especially because you've said that you've used some typical dermatologist treatments. Understand that a lot of the different chemicals used in our skincare products are on varying levels of harmfulness or varying degrees of harmfulness. So we could talk about something like sodium lauryl sulfate. This is something that you will find in almost any soap or shampoo that you pick up. But this is a pretty harmful surfactant. It's kind of a scrubby nature. And that's why they use it in soaps, right? It makes it very effective for that way. But the problem is that it's not something that our skin is particularly well adapted to handle. Okay, so we could be having an allergy to a specific chemical like SLS or sodium lauryl sulfate, or it could just be the fact that there's so many different chemicals in our skincare products or the things that we wash our skin with, lotions, shampoos, right? There's a lot of stuff that we expose our skin to. Artificial fragrance. This is something that you find in virtually every single thing you put on your skin, from soaps to shampoos to lotions and all of that. We can talk about the preservatives that they use, etc. So what's my recommendation? My recommendation is to opt for things that are edible. If it's something that you would eat, then that means it's something that is safe for your skin. And again, that's kind of a odd generalization, but it's a good general guideline to take. So, examples. One of my favorite things to use on my skin is coconut oil. Coconut oil makes an excellent makeup remover, or virtually any oil for that matter, but I like coconut oil because I love the smell. It's also a wonderful moisturizer. So those of you that are going to Bath and Body Works and you're getting these lotions that smell like all kinds of stuff and you look at the ingredients and it's like you can't even read it, stop buying that processed junk and just switch to using coconut oil. Shea butter is another wonderful thing for the skin. Vitamin E oil is very, very good for the skin. Vitamin E is a little bit expensive if you just buy pure vitamin E oil, but you might start using that on your blemishes. And, you know, because vitamin E is something that the skin needs in order to heal and repair, using it topically is incredibly effective whenever we're having some kind of an inflammatory issue, like eczema or like acne. So get rid of all of those crazy things with fragrance on the ingredient label. Get rid of all of those weird products and makeups and whatever that you're using and opt for things that are super simple and natural ingredients as much as you can. I love the guideline of just using things that you would eat, because that suddenly cancels out most of the skincare products that are out there, right? Because I certainly would not eat Jergens lotion. I wouldn't eat herbal essences. And I'm not saying that I would necessarily eat my shampoo, but as a general rule of thumb, the shampoo that I use that's very natural, you know, I would feel way more comfortable eating that than eating Pantene Pro V. Again, not that I'm recommending you to eat it, but it's a good guideline. As you approach your body, understand that things you put on your skin do go into your bloodstream and can invoke various reactions and immune response reactions. So coconut oil, shea butter, vitamin E, these are all really great things for the skin. RivChick1, can you talk about macros and how to figure out what your macros should be in a day? Okay, so macros, those are your macronutrients. There's fats, protein, and carbohydrates. Those are the typical three categories that we hear when people are discussing macronutrients. Now, I personally feel that there has been far, far, far too much emphasis on this idea of balancing the macros and how many of each one you're supposed to get. What I think is actually much more important is the quality of the food that you're eating and the fact that you're ideally going to be eating whole foods. And I don't mean actually you have to go to the grocery store called Whole Foods, but the reason that they called their grocery store that, okay, the reason that they gave it the name Whole Foods is because it applies to this concept of a food in its natural state. The whole food, it's not processed. So to take grains as an example, to take bread as an example, the typical bread that we eat when we're eating, the regular flour at the grocery store or anytime we're at a restaurant or fast food restaurant or something like that, okay, the flour that they're using is literally not the whole grain. So there's three parts of the grain: the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. And basically what it breaks down to is there's like a very starchy part, there's the part with all the fiber, and there's the part with all the minerals and the nutrients. So what they do is they isolate it, and they're just using the real starchy parts. That's why the bread is real soft and fluffy and glutinous, right? Because they're actually removing those other parts of the grain. That's why when you eat whole grain bread, especially like 100% whole wheat bread, it has the whole grain used to make the bread, it's brown. And it's healthier for you because it contains all the things that whole grain would contain. So that whole example is just about understanding the concept of what a whole food is. So in the case of eggs, you eat the egg yolk and the egg white because together you get the most nutritional benefits. When you start eating partial foods and processed foods like fat-free milk, fat-free yogurt, fat-free peanut butter, where they've taken a part out of the food, it's no longer the whole food in its natural state. You lose the health benefits. Your body can no longer digest it the way that it's supposed to. Oftentimes the things that we are eating that food for, our body won't even be able to digest and get those nutrients out without the other components. So in the case of fat-free milk and fat-free yogurt, you take the fat out of a dairy product and suddenly your body cannot digest the protein that is contained in the dairy product. Your body literally needs the fat and all of the nutrients that are present in the fat or in the yolk of the egg just in order to digest and assimilate the protein that's contained in the rest of the food. All right, so that whole concept, the reason that I brought that up, and I hope it didn't feel like too much of a tangent, because to me, the most important thing is that you're eating these whole foods in their natural state. What happens when you do that is that it becomes a lot harder to track your macros. Because a lot of times a whole food in its natural state is part protein, part fat, and part carbohydrate. So there's a lot less of this, compartmentalization. You know, when we look at a lot of processed foods, they're like all protein or all carbs or all fat or whatever, right? Because they've compartmentalized it. They've processed it. When you do that, you virtually lose all the nutritional benefits of the food in the first place. So rather than focusing your attention on how many macros you should eat, how much grams of carbs, how many grams of fats, how many grams of protein, right? Because people really stress themselves out counting their macros, the same way they stress themselves out counting their calories. What I encourage you to do is just focus on eating whole natural foods in their minimally processed state. Eat tons of vegetables. If you're going to eat a grain or grain type product, eat 100% whole grains, either in the form of something like brown rice or quinoa. These things are great sources of complex carbohydrates, and they also give you a lot of protein. So rather than focusing on counting your macros, just focus on eating natural foods. And if you start to gravitate towards this more natural diet, your body and its craving mechanisms will actually guide you to the exact ideal diet for you by its cravings. So if you're not quite getting enough protein, you'll crave something that's high in protein. And if you're not getting enough fats, then you'll be craving things like butter and cheese and nuts, because your body knows, hey, I need some healthy fats, and it'll crave those foods. So strive for a natural diet, and everything else should fall into place. So Riv Chick 1, thank you so much for your question. Oh, thank you so much for the compliments on my singing. I really appreciate it. Okay, Char V, what's a good quick breakfast on the go for picky eaters? Well, this is like 3 questions in one. Okay, so a couple of guidelines on breakfast. The worst thing you can do at breakfast time is to spike your insulin levels up very quickly, or to spike your blood sugar levels up very quickly. So unfortunately, a lot of the really popular breakfast foods are actually some of the worst breakfast foods. Whether we're talking about your health, your waistline, your potential for developing diabetes. Okay, so that's things like bagels, okay, refined white flour, empty carbohydrates, bagels, and then really sweet things like we can talk about danishes and pancakes and waffles. And guys, believe me that I love those foods just as much as you do. And understand that there are healthy ways to make those foods. You can use a whole grain flour and make a really healthy waffle. And then use a good organic maple syrup, and you actually get health benefits from it. So this all comes back to that concept I was talking about a minute ago, eating foods in their minimally processed state. Natural foods with no ingredient list, or a very short ingredient list. So thinking about the typical syrup that we eat at IHOP or that we buy in the grocery store, it's going to have a long list of ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, okay? And who knows what else. So instead of that, processed food, unnatural food, just eat the maple syrup. And if you can find organic, that's great. But the bottom line is that when you eat pure 100% maple syrup, you actually get a lot of minerals. You also get fiber, a little bit of fiber from it, but you get a lot of minerals from maple syrup. And the sweetness that's present in a natural maple syrup is much easier for your body to handle than high fructose corn syrup, a processed food. So anytime you can opt for things that are natural are always going to be better. Whole grains are always going to be better. One of my favorite things to do is about once a week, I'll make a big pot of brown rice. And I'll just keep it in the fridge. And it's a really easy way to make a quick breakfast because I'll just grab a scoop of my rice. It's already made. It's in the fridge. It's ready to go. All I got to do is heat it up if I want it to be hot. All right, grab a scoop of that rice. And then depending on if I want something sweet or something savory, sometimes I'll just drizzle some of that, pure natural maple syrup over it. I also like putting cranberries, or I guess those dried cranberries inside of brown rice and heat that up on the stove for a minute and they get all soft and oh, they're so good. But anyways, so that's one of my favorite breakfasts. So brown rice, dried cranberries drizzled with maple syrup. Other way to go would be to go the little bit more savory route. Heat up the brown rice and then melt some butter over it, and sprinkle a little bit of sea salt over it. Anytime you add a vegetable at breakfast is a really good idea. For whatever reason in the United States, we don't think about eating vegetables for breakfast. It's just this thing where, breakfast foods, we don't think of them being green beans or broccolis. But if you can eat some green beans or broccolis or some kind of vegetable at breakfast time, that's great. Another thing I love to do with my brown rice, like I was saying, some butter, some sea salt, and then a big old handful of spinach. And if you put that spinach in the pot with your brown rice while you're reheating it, or in the toaster oven, I don't really recommend microwaves, but if that's all you got, then fine. You can microwave it, and once you cook the spinach, it gets all soft and melted down, and what was a big wad of spinach will be like this big because it all wilts down very small. But spinach and brown rice is a great breakfast. Another good thing to do, especially when you're really hungry, is to have a good source of healthy fats. Probably one of the fastest, easiest snacks / breakfasts that I like to have is just eating an avocado. And I'll literally like cut it in half and eat it with a spoon. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on it. Salt really helps to bring out the flavor of avocado. So if you are somebody that's like, ugh, I hate avocado, try sprinkling some salt on it, because it totally makes it way better, in my opinion. But yeah, there are a lot of times where I will literally just walk out with an avocado and a knife, and when I have a minute, I'll just cut it in half and eat it out with a spoon. So there's just a couple of little ideas. The picky eaters part, man, I would have to go on for another 10 minutes. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can. If y'all want me to talk more about breakfast, let me know. I also have a breakfast video that I filmed last week that'll be coming out soon. Eggs also make a really lovely breakfast as well. I love poached eggs. Had some this weekend. They were so good. Okay, Charlotte Lavender says, would you ever do a live ASMR? And then I don't know if I think this other question is coming up later. I haven't gotten to it yet. Somebody else was asking what ASMR is. So as I am sitting here, almost just like talking at 100 miles per minute, I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to tell you guys about ASMR and why I think that it is literally the answer to so many problems in people's lives. Anyone with trouble sleeping, anybody with anxiety, stress, or just a problem of like feeling overwhelmed and unmotivated or unable to get motivated because you feel so overwhelmed, let me tell you about ASMR. And let me just pause for 1 second. Okay. So ASMR, for anyone who is not familiar with it yet, basically this is a genre of YouTube video, you could say. Technically speaking, ASMR refers to a physical response to certain triggers. So it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. But that's kind of a lot of big words, and basically what it is people reacting with deep relaxation and in some case physical tingles, usually to auditory or visual signals, triggers, you could say. So tapping is a big one. This isn't really the best tapping noise, so to speak. I find myself tapping on stuff all the time. It's very, I don't know. But anyways, whispering is another one. The whole idea of these videos is that they are to help people relax. Some of the videos are more geared to literally helping people fall asleep completely. But some of the videos are really just about relaxing and calming anxiety and maybe just giving ourselves a moment to catch our breaths. We live in really fast-paced lifestyles. We are going 100 miles a minute. Most of us feel like there aren't enough hours in the day to get everything done that we want to get done. And what this, kind of creates is a general, I don't know, for lack of a better word, a general problem of people being wound up like the Energizer Bunny. And then we go to lay down at night to go to sleep, and we're wound up like the Energizer freaking Bunny, and we can't sleep. So there is a chronic problem these days with insomnia. People's levels of stress and anxiety are just through the roofs because we have too much pressure on us. And we live in this very like instant gratification kind of society where everything is moving really fast. If you look at movies, and especially action films, you see things are just going so fast. We're kind of epidemically overstimulated. So what it's created is a need for something that's just going to help you relax. And you can see how my whole demeanor in being relaxed is like completely different than my demeanor in answering all of y'all's health questions. Because everybody's in a hurry. Everybody wants their answer quick. Everybody wants this. And so I'm trying to do it faster, right? But for an ASMR video, I would be talking more like this. And I'll actually even bring the mic maybe a little bit closer because I don't know, maybe you guys can't hear me as well now. So these are videos that help to calm people down. They help to reduce anxiety. They help to address insomnia. And I actually see a lot of comments on those videos where people say, Corrina, your videos work better than sleeping pills. And guess what? There's no addiction, there's no dependence, there's no negative side effects. Okay? So in terms of safety and something that is minimally invasive and not physically harmful to your health, watching ASMR videos is a great alternative to sleeping pills. It's funny, I'm watching people fall off the chat. Okay, guys, so I'm going to leave ASMR because some people are just not into that, right? We live in a fast-paced lifestyle and people are like, Corrina, come on, get to the next question. When is she going to answer the next question? I've been in here for 20 minutes and she hasn't even gotten past the first 5 questions. All right, Charlotte, just to quickly answer why I would not or why I typically do not do live ASMR. Number one, you just can't anticipate the loud noises that might happen. Something falls, something drops, something that I'm doing is louder than I anticipate. What about the background noises? What you may not realize is that when we shoot a video, somebody sits there and combs very painstakingly to find every time the cat meows, every time an airplane goes overhead or a motorcycle goes by, even miles away, a motorcycle will be loud enough that it's picked up on those microphones. That gets edited out. So if I were to do live ASMR and you're sitting there with your headphones cranked up to as high as they go, I have no control over if something loud happens or, you know, what if something fell off the shelf behind me and made this really loud clamor? That would be so horrible. So live ASMR would be hard. I do want to try and do it though. But there's a lot of things to consider. And you know, just understand that we edit a lot of background noises out of videos. That's probably the number one reason that we have not yet done live ASMR. Okay, Barb Corn, I have a vein insufficiency. Not quite sure about vein insufficiency. She says, what can I do other than going to the gym, working out, and eating healthy? I don't know if this is going to necessarily apply or not, but this is a really... I felt was a totally life-changing concept for me. One thing that a lot of people don't understand is how harmful sugars and carbohydrates are to our veins and arteries. So the blood vessels themselves can become physically damaged by sugars, and here's how. When sugars are broken down in the body, and so this is your sweet sugars, like refined sugar, but this is also your refined carbohydrates, okay, that enriched flour and white bread and all that stuff we talked about earlier, okay? When those things are broken down, they produce something called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, advanced glycation end products. And what they do is, or what they've been found to do, is that inside of our veins and arteries, inside the blood vessel, as they're moving throughout the body, and typically the body's trying to expel them, right? But they're going through our blood vessels, and they actually kind of act like sandpaper on the inside of our veins and arteries. So what they found is that looking at things like clogged arteries, at heart disease, one thing that has largely been kind of underestimated is the extent to which sugars and refined carbohydrates damage the blood vessels and contribute to those problems. So I know you said you're eating healthy, and that's great. But I would just encourage you to consider your sugar and your carbohydrate intake. And even your healthier carbohydrates like brown rice and things like this, they're still going to produce some of those advanced glycation end products as they're broken down. So if a vein insufficiency, that sounds like you don't have enough veins or they're not big enough. One thing that you can do to vastly improve the health of all the blood vessels in your body is to really look at reducing your intake of sugar, and especially those refined carbohydrates. If it's a really extreme problem, even the healthy source of carbs should perhaps be limited. Insulin, kind of second, on the same side of the same coin, or other side of the same coin, insulin is also something that can be harmful to our blood vessels. So people who constantly have elevated levels of insulin flowing through the bloodstream have also found to have the health or the integrity of those blood vessels is harmed by that high presence of insulin. So considering that, when you eat a meal, or especially when you're snacking, to really try and keep that low carb, and understand that, healthy fats, when you eat a healthy fat like an avocado or like something like nuts, these things that are low glycemic, okay, or high in fat, things that are high in fat are typically low glycemic, okay? You don't usually have things that are high in fat and high in sugar. Okay, so these things that are low glycemic or high in fat are going to be the most effective for helping to fill you up and satisfy your hunger, but they have a very minimal increase on insulin. There's also not going to be any advanced glycation end products when you eat an avocado, because there's no sugar in it. Opting for things that are low on the glycemic index can be a good thing to look for. I have a lot of videos on the glycemic index. So if you put in blood sugar as a search on this channel, you can find those videos. You can also just look up low glycemic foods in a Google search, and you'll get a huge list of them. But that would be my recommendation of things to consider. Best of luck to you, Barb. That sounds like a really difficult problem. Gwenda Mathis, what do you do for dry, cracked feet? Shea butter, coconut oil. There's a company called Made On. Her website is hardlotion.com. And she has these, just like it sounds, it's a hard lotion. It's like comes in a bar. It looks like a bar of soap. But it'll be like shea butter, cocoa butter, very, very simple natural ingredients. Okay, very simple natural ingredients, and because they are not diluted with water so that they can be a lotion, a typical lotion that we think of, it's very, very good for extremely dry, cracked skin. So I would recommend you go to hardlotion.com. I love those products. They are incredible for very, very dry skin and especially sensitive skin, things like eczema and stuff like that. Hardlotion.com. Jessica Stouffer, how do you deal with the negativity from people who don't understand the importance of ASMR? I love that question, Jessica. Thank you. You know what? I just remember, and and I get a lot of hate, and then people be like, ew, what is this? I stumbled on the weird side of YouTube. All I do is I think about all of the people who it helps. And I'm like, wow, man, if this helped one person, if there was one single person that was benefited by me making this video, then it's worth me making it. But I know that there's way more than just one person that are benefited. And those people who leave me the kind, grateful comments, letting me know that those videos help them, that is what gets me through. And literally, I don't even care about all these people that are going to be negative or judgmental or whatever. Screw them. They're the ones who probably need ASMR the most. Because being negative and judgmental, guess who that hurts? I mean, yeah, it could hurt my feelings, but who does that really hurt? The person who's being negative and judgmental. So anyways, thank you for your question, Jessica. I love that. How do we deal with negativity from people? As a general rule of thumb, as a general approach to life kind of a thing, how do you deal with negativity? Think about the people that you're helping. You know how there's that saying, the vocal minority. The vocal minority. Oftentimes the people who are the loudest, the most nagging, they leave the worst comments, or if we're talking about your personal life, right? The people who bully and are mean and they're judgmental and they are like, whatever thing, usually they are the minority. There's actually not a whole, lot of people that think those things, but for whatever reason, the small amount of people there are very loud about it, are very vocal about it. They leave tons of comments and they're really mean and they'll just pick on you every single day. But anyways, remember that they're the vocal minority. They're the vocal few. And for the most part, most people, they're not judgmental. And they like you, and they appreciate you, and they like the things that you do. So don't let the vocal minority get you down. That is a great kind of just like, general mantra of life. I almost want to do a whole video on that. That's a great idea. So Jessica, thank you for that question, because that spurred me to this kind of awesome video idea. G Torresarola 557, trying to lose weight while breastfeeding. I don't have much time to work out as I'd like to. Do you have any ideas for supplements? I'm very overweight. Okay, so first of all, I want to say OMG, congratulations on your baby. That is so wonderful and so sweet and so beautiful, and congratulations, because being a new mom is amazing. I don't speak from personal experience, but I do know that it's amazing, and I want to wish you congratulations. So first thing I want to mention is that if you are breastfeeding, it's very, very, very important that you, what I would say is that I know you want to lose weight. I know you want to lose the baby weight. I totally get that. But in terms of importance, it's much more important to be giving your new baby the nutrients that he or she needs than it is for you to be losing weight. Also know that I have read in so many different places and heard this firsthand from a lot of my friends that breastfeeding actually helped them lose a lot of the baby weight. So know that just breastfeeding in and of itself could really help you in a lot of ways. And at the time that you are done breastfeeding, or a few weeks after finishing breastfeeding, you should find that a lot of that weight has started to come off. As far as supplements and stuff, I would really just recommend you to eat natural foods. Eat lots of vegetables and fruits. Those are the things that are going to give your body and your baby's body the nutrients that y'all's bodies need. Pardon my little Texas slur there for a second. So, really just focusing on eating natural foods, trying to eat really, really healthy. And the healthier you can eat, aka the more vegetables you can eat, you should kind of find that in and of itself is really, really helpful. The more that you can avoid those refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, bagels, all of those types of things not only are going to contribute to you gaining more weight, but they're also really not going to give your baby the things that your baby needs. Also remember that eating the bread and pasta and carbohydrates like that also elevates your insulin levels, which is also very bad for you and your baby. As far as working out goes, I don't know how long ago that you had your baby. Maybe it was just a month, maybe you're at like 3 or 4 months. Just do what you can. And know that, initially, right after you have your baby, it's going to be really important for you to kind of focus on building your flexibility and just starting to get your muscles used to working out again. Don't shock your system. That's a great, just general guideline of health for everyone in any situation. So if you look at your lifestyle and your diet, the things you eat, the way that you live, just avoid doing things that are really that are really shocking to your system. So if you're going from being pretty sedentary, which most pregnant women are pretty sedentary, and most people in general unfortunately are pretty sedentary, but if you go from that and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna do P90X and work out for 90 minutes a day, this like super intense workout, that is very stressful to your system. It shocks your system. So instead, think about doing things that are more gradual and more gentle. So if you're coming from a pretty sedentary lifestyle, the first place to start would be with some stretches for beginners. We have a couple videos that are called Safe Stretches for Beginners or Complete Beginners or something like that. Those are really good videos for somebody who, maybe doesn't have a lot of mobility, maybe hasn't been active in a really long time. Just start really gentle. And then maybe move into, like beginner's yoga would be another really good thing. Just to start getting your body back into the groove, you could say, of moving, having all of your full mobility and range of motion, stretching out your muscles so that they can start to be strengthened. Flexibility and strength really go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So people who go really heavy into doing lots of cardio workouts or doing really strength intensive workouts without, making a special intention to do lots of flexibility and stretching, they actually are more likely to injure themselves, and you can't even get the full benefits from the workout. So flexibility and strength have to come together. And again, if you're coming from a pretty sedentary lifestyle or 9 months of being pregnant, starting with those gentle stretches and safe stretches for beginners would be a really good place to start. And then just gradually build yourself up from there. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, maybe you pick up the pace a little bit, maybe you start walking around the block, maybe you start doing some of the beginners workout videos on Psychetruth. What should I change in my life? That takes the cake for the absolute most general, untargeted question ever. I'm sorry. I'm going to look for a more specific question. Guys, I've literally, like I said at the beginning of this chat, I have hundreds of videos that are like 10 easy ways to get healthy, 10 easy ways to lose weight, where to start for beginners, what to eat, what not to eat, 10 worst foods, 10 most obesity causing foods, best sources of protein, best superfoods. I mean, like, there's so many videos. So those kind of general questions like that, I really, really, really would just love to invite you to check out the channel, check out some of my videos, because you can probably find the answer you're looking for in some of those videos I've already made. Okay, here's one that I can answer though. Matthew Sibilia, what's your advice for plateauing? Okay, so when people are losing weight, there is this very common phenomenon, which is now called the weight loss plateau. And just like it sounds, this is like somebody who's, they're losing weight, they're working out, they're losing weight, and then all of a sudden, They can't lose any more weight. And they're like, what is the deal? I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing for the last 3 months. Why isn't it working anymore? Okay, so here's what you need to know about the weight loss plateau. The body adapts. And we can think about that saying, we are creatures of habit. And I say that all the time because I'm totally a creature of habit. I think most people are. That's why it's a saying. But anyways, so the body adapts to things. It creates habits. And it's great because we can create healthy habits that become habits, and then we don't have to think about them anymore, like doing healthy things, working out, drinking water, making healthier eating decisions. These are all habits that will get easier and easier the more that we do them. But on that, the other side of that is that our body will kind of, I don't want to say get bored, but our body adapts and adjusts. So if you're doing the same workout routine and eating the same way, eventually your body will adjust and it's going to stop losing weight. Because it basically gets used to what you were doing. So what's the solution? The solution is to mix it up with some variety and to increase the challenge. And kind of play with doing both of those things, because it may be enough to just mix it up. So maybe just changing your workout routine. If you've been doing the same workout video, maybe you just start doing a different one. Maybe it is actually finding a whole new type of physical exercise or physical movement to try, just so that you are challenging your body with something new and keeping it interesting, partly for your own happiness, that you're not getting bored, but also because your body will kind of adapt if you're always doing the same things. So I encourage you to kind of put your thinking cap on and try to find some new things you can try, challenge yourself to try something new. Probably the best way to immediately stop the weight loss plateau is to boost the challenge of what you're doing. So if you typically work out for 30 minutes a day, start working out for an hour a day. Maybe you can only do that once or twice a week. But extending the length, extending the duration of your workouts is a good way to boost the challenge. Another way is just to boost the intensity of the workout itself. So this is one thing I love about the high intensity interval workouts, and there are a lot of them. On YouTube, there's a couple on our channel. There's going to be a lot more on our channel too. But a high intensity interval workout is a really good way to challenge your system. So, if you're, a creature of habit and you don't necessarily want to completely change what you're doing, find a way to step up the challenge of the things you're already doing. So for instance, if you're into walking, right? You're walking for weight loss, you're running or whatever, get some wrist weights and some ankle weights. And when you first put them on, you'll be like, oh, this is nothing. And after 20 minutes, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm dying. So that's just like boosting it up, right? Just adding some challenge. Working out longer, changing up what you do, look at your diet as well. What are some things you can change? If you've been losing weight for a while, that means you're doing a lot of really, really good things. So if you're hitting that plateau, maybe it's just about, again, either mixing it up, eating different foods, trying some new foods, and then maybe finding one or two simple things you can do to kind of step it up to the next step. A couple examples would be drinking green juices. There are so many nutrients contained in, like if you were to drink kale, cucumber, and celery juice, even with some watermelon in it or something so it was sweet. But if you're not someone that drinks green juices and green smoothies, that would be a great thing to add into your health and lifestyle regimen. There's a lot of juice bars nowadays. There's also a lot of places online where you can order green juice if there's not a juice bar in the town where you live. But that's a great, a really great thing to do and helps kick it up to the next notch. Consider doing a juice fast. Now, cleansing and fasting and detoxing is such a complex topic. I don't typically recommend that. But if you have been losing weight for a while and you're eating really healthy and you're looking for a way to take it up to the next notch, do a liver cleanse or do a 3-day juice fast. These are good ways to help detoxify and really initiate the digestive tract to get rid of some crap. Pardon my French, but I mean that both literally and figuratively. Anything you do to stimulate digestion, to assist with detox, yoga for digestion, yoga for detoxification. There's a lot of routines out there that are literally built to help stimulate those organs and help them push out some of the stuff that may be causing you to kind of be stuck in that weight loss plateau. Alrighty. Okay, I'm really happy to see this. Chase Pruitt. Let's all give a round of applause to Chase Pruitt. Chase says, I lost 30 pounds in a month from a good balanced diet of 3 meals a day, nothing but chicken, vegetables, fruits, seafood, whole grains, and water. All thanks to you. Oh, Chase, thank you so much. But I tell you what, it is all thanks to you. Because you are the one who made those changes. You are the one who stuck to it and stuck to those changes. You are the one who has made this accomplishment. So Chase, I give you a huge round of applause. That is awesome. I am so glad that I could help you in achieving that incredible goal, but you are the one who did it. So you are the one who is owed the congratulations and owed the thanks. And thank you so much for sharing that in the comments. I love, 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 love hearing y'all's success stories. So thank you. Okay, lots of questions. Goodness gracious. I don't even know where to start. So Tess Extra, how do I change my eating habits or get the motivation? Okay, so I'm going to just kind of answer this question as I scroll looking for more questions. Motivation, largely when we're talking about, you know, our state of mind, our positivity, and our energy levels, because energy levels are a huge part of the motivation puzzle, you could say, right? If we don't have good energy levels, it's really hard to feel motivated to do anything. So essentially all of this motivation and mindset, it kind of comes down to how we, what's the word I'm looking for? Other than motivate, because you can't do that thing where you use the word in the definition of the word. Yeah. Incentivize. What are our goals? You know, a lot of times we have a kind of physical goal or an aesthetic motivation, like I want to look this way, I want to have a 6-pack, I want to be a size 4, or whatever. Those types of goals can be motivating, but for me, what motivates me the most is to really think about what I love in life and use that thing to help motivate me. So maybe it's your family. You want to be there for your family. You want to have the energy to play with your kids and the energy to still do what you want to do when you get home all day, of taking care of your kids. finding the right motivation and finding the right things to think about to help motivate you is a really big important part of the equation. Another thing to consider before you have to walk before you can crawl, right? Is what the little saying is. And to me, what that means is that a lot of people are overwhelmed because they are putting themselves in a situation where they're expecting a whole lot of change really, really quickly. And when they think about getting healthy or losing weight or improving my lifestyle, in our heads, it's like this big thing. And it encompasses like, okay, I need to work out this much. I need to eat this. I need to do that. I got to start doing this. I need to do this thing and that thing. And understandably, that's really overwhelming because it's a lot of different things. And oftentimes it's not specific things. It's like, I need to work out more. I need to eat better. I need to eat less sugar or whatever. Right? But they're not like concrete goals. So we're overwhelmed partly because we're giving ourselves way too many things to do at once. Partly because we don't really know specifically exactly what we want to do. We just have all these like really general ideas of things that we want to do, but they're not specific. We don't really have any like specific thing. So this whole, kind of climate that is created for people that want to get healthy, it is overwhelming. And then people feel like they don't have the motivation and they don't know what to do. So my recommendation, my answer or solution, or hopefully a solution, number one, don't try to do everything at once. It's going to be really hard to motivate yourself to do 50,000 different things differently tomorrow than you did today. And that overwhelm generally ends up with us not doing any of them because it just feels too overwhelming. So rather than feeling like you need to do 101 different things tomorrow, pick one thing. One. How many? One thing. And then the second is to come up with really specific goals. So I'm actually right now in the middle of creating a 30-day weight loss transformation program. And the whole idea is that it does these things. It breaks down the exact specific things that you should be doing and then helps you start doing those things slowly and gradually so that they become healthy habits. So a couple of examples would be eating more vegetables. So a good specific thing is like, I'm going to eat a serving of vegetables every day. But if that feels too overwhelming, start with a serving of vegetables once a week. Whether it's a salad, whether it's steamed green beans, maybe it's a corn on the cob, maybe it's what are some other vegetables? Some carrots. Maybe at the grocery store, you get a bag of those peeled and sliced carrots, and that's your serving of vegetables for the week. And that was you reaching your goal, right? But the whole idea is that it's specifics. So eating a salad once a week, that's a good goal, right? So just pick one goal. Another one is drinking water. Especially if you're somebody that drinks a lot of sodas or energy drinks, you need to start transitioning away from sodas and energy drinks toward drinking water. But it's really overwhelming to be like, I'm going to stop drinking sodas. Give yourself something much more realistic and much more attainable as a goal. Like once a week, I'm going to switch out a soda for a glass of water instead. Or another good goal, another good healthy habit is drinking 1 glass of water a day. And that's not very much. It's not enough water. But the bottom line is that if you're someone who doesn't ever drink water, which is a lot of people out there, you gotta start somewhere. So don't start with trying to give up sodas completely. Just start with drinking 1 glass of water a day. one salad a week, one serving of vegetables a week, and then move up from there. So slowly and gradually building on these healthy habits. But the whole idea is to avoid overwhelming yourself and give yourself really good specific goals of things you want to do. And if you need more ideas, watch some of my videos. My videos are filled with these healthy habits and stuff like that. I also have this program that I'm working on that will, it'll take a while for me to film it all, edit it all, get it all up and everything. But it's in the process. So something to look forward to. Carl Jameson, low carbs or low calories if you had to choose just one. Okay, so if I just had to choose one, I'm really liking doing this thing. I've done this to y'all a couple times. One. If I just had to choose one thing, one overarching guideline, it wouldn't really be low carbs or low calories. I think both of those approaches miss the point. Both of those approaches miss the point. For me, if I had to just have one guideline, it would be eating natural foods in their minimally processed state. Primarily fruits and vegetables. Or at least a lot of fruits and vegetables. Again, think about that whole idea of starting small and moving up gradually. I don't expect you to suddenly go from eating chicken fried steaks and hamburgers every day to eating vegetables every day. I get that that's not a super realistic thing for somebody to be able to do, but just start somewhere. One serving of vegetables a week, and then gradually moving it up to one a day. And then ideally, you should be eating like 7 to 10 servings of vegetables a day. That's the recommendation they make. I don't even know if I eat that many vegetables every day. I'm still working towards it. But it's a good goal. So eat natural foods and don't focus on counting your carbs and don't focus on counting your calories. Focus on eating real foods in their minimally processed state and avoiding your white bread, avoiding your packaged processed foods with a long ingredient list. Eat natural things, beans, brown rice, legumes, vegetables, nuts, seeds. These are all wonderful, wonderful foods, and you can combine them to make all the awesome things that you love to eat, like hamburgers and lasagna and whatever. You just make them with healthier ingredients and add some vegetables in there. And that would be my, if I had to just have one nutritional guideline, that would be it. Chase Pruitt, okay, so this was the, he said he had lost all this weight, taking a lot of health advice and doing so well, and he says, but I've fallen off the wagon. What would you suggest I eat or use to stop my caffeine cravings for pop and energy drinks? I was doing so good without them, but then I somehow came right back. So I would just, kind of like I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but, coming back to that idea of not shocking your system. You can kind of think about it like a slingshot. The harder and, farther that you pull back the slingshot, the more tension there is, the farther that it goes. So the more drastic and big and giant that the changes are, the more tension there is and the more likelihood there is that you're going to fly back to where you were at the beginning. So Chase is coming from a point where he was doing really well. He had cleaned up his diet. He had lost 30 pounds, doing really well, and then somehow fell off the wagon, right? We all know what that feels like. Man, this should be a whole video. This is a complex topic. slowly stepping back up on the wagon is a good place to start. You know, so rather than feeling bad because you're not eating as well as you were a couple weeks ago or however long, don't feel bad about it. Just start slowly getting back up on the wagon, eating more vegetables, replacing the pop or energy drinks with something else. The more sleep you can get, maybe you need to watch ASMR videos to help you get more sleep. Okay, the more sleep you can get, that's going to be the best remedy for helping to get your adrenal gland back in good health, so that you can balance your energy levels and hopefully should resolve the caffeine cravings. Now, the thing about caffeine is that it is an addictive substance. So as long as you're drinking caffeine, your body will continue to crave it. And I drink coffee sometimes. I try not to drink coffee every day. But I'm right there with you. Okay, I'm not trying to be all holier than thou. Like, I don't drink coffee. Ugh. But you know, bottom line is to just be aware of how much you're having, and as much as you can, try to pull back on it. One thing you can consider doing is replacing the pop and energy drinks with a caffeinated tea. There's a lot of great herbal teas out there. I know I saw somebody mention herbal tea somewhere in that chat earlier. Herbal teas are excellent, and there are several that will actually give you some caffeine. Typically, those are your black teas are going to be the most caffeinated, but even green tea generally will have some caffeine in it. Yerba mate is I believe, the highest caffeine content tea that's out there. But when you are drinking tea, not only do you get that caffeine, but it's also going to give you a lot of nutritional benefits that you just don't get from sodas and energy drinks, period. So actually, sodas and energy drinks contain so many chemicals that they literally zap nutrients out of your body. Your body has to pull nutrients from other places just so that it can handle the energy drinks and pop and process and get rid of them as much as it can. So switching to a caffeinated tea is at least a good step in the right direction, because you're going to get some nutritional benefits from that herbal tea. Not to mention, it won't contain the high fructose corn syrup and the sugar and all of the other crazy ingredients that you find in those things. So yerba mate, black tea, herbal teas. There's a company called Field to Cup. I think it's fieldtocup.com, and I just love that as a little, it gives you a cute image, right? Straight from the field into your cup. What could be better? But anyways, they have a lot of really awesome tea blends, which is great. And they also, on each of the tea packages, when you purchase them, it shows you how much caffeine content it has. I don't think it actually lists the milligrams specifically, although it might list that on their website. But it will show like it has like 3 out of 4 stars of caffeine. And then some of them, of course, don't have any caffeine. But anyways, fieldtocup.com, they're going to be coming up. I have a couple videos I've filmed with their teas, and I'm going to have a 40% off coupon code for Field to Cup. I don't have the code yet. We're still in the process of getting it all set up, but I'm really, really excited about this company. I love their products, and I would love to see people starting to drink tea instead of coffee, tea instead of pop and energy drinks. So fieldtocup.com, check it out. You can find tea anywhere, any grocery store. Organic is always going to be better, in my opinion, just because, you get more nutrients from it, period. Okay, you guys, so I cannot believe how many questions are in here. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. Whoop, not quite that far to the bottom. Caitlin Marie, why tea over coffee? So when you drink tea, there are a lot of phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are just nutrients that come from plants. So sometimes they're actual vitamins. Sometimes they are minerals that may be present in the tea. There's also things called flavonols and I think riboflavonoids or something like that. They're antioxidants. Tea, and specifically matcha, which is a minimally processed green tea, matcha literally has more antioxidant content than anything else, like, in the world. It's kind of crazy, inconceivable. So when we look at plants, it has been known for centuries that plants possess all of these incredible healing properties. The healing properties comes from the nutrients that they contain. So this is why I probably mentioned like 85 times in this chat to eat more vegetables. It's because those plants contain all of these really important nutrients that help our bodies function. So in the case of tea, there's a lot of different nutrients that they contain. One of the big ones that is at least a hot topic right now is those antioxidants. So when I think of antioxidants, I think anti-aging, because oxidation is literally the process or part of the process of aging in the body that causes just wear and tear on our tissues. Things start to degrade, they start to break down. Oxygen, while it's incredibly life-giving and important, also causes this thing called oxidation. So oxidation, it's something natural. It's part of the aging process. It's why we naturally age. It's not that it's inherently a bad thing. But when there is an excess of oxidation in the body, we have expedited aging. So you can think about how when you see somebody that's been a smoker their whole life, smoking cigarettes, they oftentimes look visibly older than they really are. And it's because there's so much oxidation, so many free radicals or oxidative radicals that are present in cigarette smoke. It literally speeds up the aging process. So antioxidants, anti-aging. When you drink tea, you get tons of these antioxidant chemicals like flavonoids or flavonols, riboflavin, I don't know. But there's a lot of different antioxidants, and this is why drinking a variety of different teas can be a really good idea. We can also think about fruits. There's a lot of fruits that are known to be very high in antioxidants. The acai berry, as an example, but really all berries for that matter. So eating a plant-based food or drink, as is the case of tea, is going to be so much healthier for you than something like coffee, which is going to give you that caffeine content, but really doesn't give you the same nutritional benefits that you get from something like tea. So Jaylyn7707 is asking about if it fits my macros. Please, when I get done with this chat, back it up to the beginning, because, well, actually, no, where was the macro question? It wasn't the first question. It might have been like the second, between the second and fifth question. I talked about macros. I talked about how I think counting macros is really not the best way to get healthy. It's much more important to focus on eating natural foods, eating fruits and vegetables, and eating whole foods in their minimally processed state than counting your macros or counting your calories. I'm not a fan of if it fits my macros at all. I think it's an excuse to eat junk food, and I think it's a scam. So I am not a fan of the macro counting or the calorie counting. I think all that stuff is just a waste of people's time and money. All right, you guys, so I have a lot of things to get done. I'm going to go ahead and end the live chat. I apologize that I was not able to get to all of the different questions in this chat room. There are usually far too many questions for me to actually be able to answer them all. But if I didn't get to your question, you have a couple options. Come back next week, same time, same place, 2 p.m. right here on Psychetruth YouTube channel. Ask your question again and I'll do my best to get to it. If you get here early and ask your question, I do kind of try to start at the beginning first and get those questions from the people who were here at the start. So that's a good way to get your question answered, is to try to come early to the chat room. You can also send me an email. It's emailcorrinanow@gmail.com. It actually has the word email in it. Emailcorrinanow@gmail.com. If you go to my website, corrinarachel.com, which is linked in all of my nutrition videos, you can get, I don't know if it's like a contact form, or I think my email is just listed on it. But anyways, shoot me an email, visit my website, check out some of the videos. If I didn't get to your question, put one of the words from your question in the search bar of this channel. There's a really good likelihood that either I or one of the other presenters on the channel already have a video answering your question. So guys, thank you so much. I hope that you will check out the video I am about to post. I'm about to post a Sanella Ultimate Ab workout. This video is awesome, and it made my abs burn really, really, really bad. Really bad. So please check it out. Please like it, favorite it, share it. We would love to hear your feedback on the video. Sanella is going to be doing a lot more kind of ultimate fitness style stuff, so I'm really excited about that. So anyways, guys, I am going to literally publish that video as soon as I stop this live chat. So I hope y'all will check it out, share that video, and leave your comments on it. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you guys being here and asking all of these just amazing questions. Y'all have awesome questions. So thank you so much. Yeah, Twisted Monkey. I will next time have my timer here with me so I can time my answers. But I've been talking like 100 miles a minute this entire chat room. I try to give in-depth answers though. You know, if somebody comes and asks a question, I know everybody else is anxious for me to get to their question, but I'm not going to stiff somebody on their answer. And I always try to bring things back to like a general, something that would be helpful to other people as well. So anyways, guys, I do my best. I've been talking so fast, my freaking throat is about to just like crap out on me. So I gotta go. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your questions. I really hope that y'all will come back in next week. Twisted Mickey, chill your freaking roll, yo. I just answered like 50 questions in the last hour and a half, okay? Like, come back next week. Stop complaining. Or check the channel because I probably already have a video that answers your question. It was time for live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all had fun, and I really hope that you will come back again next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you then. I can't wait. Hopefully you can't either. See you then.